Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to No Final Bell. We are going to be talking about Impact Wrestling as
Yeah,
well as AEW Dynamite and Collision. Um, just a little side note before we do get into it. Probably going forward, we will talk about ROH going forward
yeah.
instead of Impact Wrestling. Um,
Um, Although this next week I will be talking about Bound for Glory, since it is the show is literally this Saturday, so it will be competing against Collision, but Impact fans don't care about that because they really just don't care about competition in general. They never have and they never will. But regardless,
before we do also get on to that too, we thought we'd bring it light today. It has been announced that
yeah,
WWE, Triple H has now have full reign of creative control in WWE, and one of his main things that he started off with that is having both brands having separate GMs. I'm starting to see a trend here. We're
well,
kind of heading back into like
yeah.
I don't know
So
2016 time
it's
here.
interesting too because back in 2018, I didn't even realize this. There was the there was that night that the like quote unquote like authority came out when it was the McMahons, and they said like, "Oh, no more general managers." They stayed true to their word up until just recently when Triple H came out
Yeah,
and
because
announced,
with that, it does seem like that they're going to be going more towards the 2016 time when SmackDown and Raw were separate.
which is
I'm
not
hope
a bad thing.
I'm hoping this is my hope. This is not exactly what's going to happen, so fans don't expect it to actually be happening. This is my hope. If you want to make WWE a little bit different in a sense of it feeling like an actual brand or a company that might be better for the future, I think what you need to have is have both brands feel different from each other, have compete against each other like it did back in the day, like the Ruthless Aggression era. That's what a Ruthless Aggression era was mainly known for, is that Raw was different than SmackDown. SmackDown was different than Raw. You had each brand with its you're gonna have differences between each brand. You're gonna have brand exclusive pay per views. You're gonna have guys that you usually wouldn't see getting opportunities. And with Triple H now in creative, freedom and doesn't have to
Freedom,
go
yeah.
to Vince McMahon for all of his decisions. He makes the decisions himself. I would like for Triple H to start making these brands like how it was back in NXT days. Start seeing like an LA Knight being a top champion, or you know, just like start seeing more of that happening between both brands. Um, Also, I would like for them to bring back the brand exclusive pay per views too, because I don't think that's a bad idea. Because then you can freshen the storylines a little bit more. Because I think having pay per views for each brand every single month, just like you don't have enough time to really like focus on you basically, okay, we just had a pay-per-view, now we got to go right to another pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You got to speed up the storylines, and that's why a lot of those stories continue, and it just draws it out a little too long.
Yeah.
What I would like for WWE to go forward with Raw and SmackDown is having different storylines, freshen up the storylines, where you don't always have to like you can take your time with it. But I would like to also still say that I think you still should have like big four, big five. I think like see like a Crown Jewel or a Super Showdown. Those are the pay per views that maybe you can have both brands be exclusive to. It's tough. It's tough to tell like what you can do with those. But I think what you should do is limit some of those overseas special events type of thing. No offense to WWE. I think it's a little drawn out. And then continue of like what you used to do, like say like have because I mean, I don't watch WWE. I really don't know too much of the pay-per-views. I
Yeah.
know a lot of the pay-per-views are now just like NXT has, No Mercy. They have
Hmm.
Vengeance. They have
Yeah,
Judgment
they're kind of going all over the
Day.
place
It
with.
just
Yeah.
so honestly, again, I mean, you can be able to be in agreement that you would like to see more of like what it used to be
Yeah.
during Ruthless Aggression era.
I mean, well, here's the
Maybe
thing.
okay. How about this? More like how 2016 was, because 2016 felt
Yeah.
different. It felt good.
Yeah.
Both brands were pretty good on top of their game and whatnot. So if you can make it work like you did there, I can't see why you can't make it work in 2023, 2024.
Yeah.
Also, I will announce that the GMs,
Yeah.
Adam Pearce for Raw
Yep. Adam
and
Pearce for Raw,
Nick
which,
Aldis
yes.
for SmackDown. I
Yep.
did not see that coming at all.
No, I don't think anybody did. I don't even think anybody really knew that he was in the company already as a producer before
Yeah, that was
transitioning
Triple
into
H's
an
big
on-screen
signing
role.
was bringing Nick Aldis to SmackDown.
Oh, this wasn't in our notes or anything, but also Jade Cargill now has a brand.
Yeah,
She is on Raw.
I thought she was on SmackDown.
Nope, she's on Raw.
See, I did see that. Honestly, good for her because again, I think it would have been more beneficial for her being on SmackDown where she could be more pushed towards the main thing. But again, you do have
Well, let's look at it this way too. She was presented as a star on SmackDown, going being face to face with Charlotte. So, and I'm glad they got her away from that because you just know that Charlotte is going to politic her way into, being the one who beats Jade, and it's
yeah, I
like,
kind of
well,
like that.
hey, no, she's got to earn her stripes
I was
here.
gonna say I kind of like that too because Raw might be the better brand for her to work her way up and
Well,
being the top women's
yeah.
champion.
Well, not to mention also, I I don't want to have to like go there or anything, but at the same time, it's like not for nothing. Um, Charlotte is like pretty much the gatekeeper of like most of the women's division.
Right.
So, um,
Yes.
with that, it's like, you know,
Get down.
it's just a kind of thing of like, get down,
Get down.
get down, please,
Get down.
get down, please,
Get down.
get down, please. So, yeah, it's just the kind of thing of like, yeah, for the benefit of Jade Cargill and Charlotte, it was best that she didn't start
Right.
off immediately in a feud with her. Although it does seem like her first feud maybe is going to be, okay, what are you doing? Is going to be um, Becky Lynch, quite possibly.
No, Jade.
So yes,
Oh, really?
so yeah, because that was who she appeared in a segment with, and that's how she came to Raw. And Becky was like, "Get in line," talking about the NXT title, the NXT Women's title. So maybe, and honestly, it wouldn't be a bad start for Jade because then she could be practically on both NXT and Raw to
Right.
further,
That's true
because not
too.
to
That wouldn't be
mention,
a bad thing. Now that I think
yeah,
about it.
because not to mention, it's like nothing against Jade, but like she's still pretty green in the
Right.
ring, and even just in general, like she could use a little more like training for not just her wrestling, but also her character work.
True.
Because like, you know, that's the thing too. In AEW, we really never saw much of like a character with her. So maybe now that she's in WWE, maybe we could see more of a character development for her. Um, and I mean, this is up to you. Do you even want to get into formerly known as at this point Brian Pillman Jr.?
I mean, good for him to be able to change his name and have his own identity. But again, You did it in the Indies. You did it in AEW. I don't know if I like that he changed his name, but I do like that he wants to um, identify himself as more his own person instead of being Brian Pillman's son. So again, I think it's okay. But that's all I'm gonna think we're gonna talk about with
Yeah,
that.
we've gone on a little bit too long with that, so now we'll get into Impact, and there is not a lot to talk about. There was like more segments and stuff than like in-ring matches. So we start off the night with the Rascals taking on the team of Sammy Callahan and Rich Swann for the Impact Tag Team titles. And I know you're probably thinking, like, wait, isn't Sammy Callahan a free agent? Yes, he is. This, I'm pretty sure, was all taped before his contract had run out with Impact Wrestling. So, as far as we know, he's pretty much just doing like freelance stuff in the indies. So he's kind of just, you know, roaming around there until he signs to like a major promotion or even, you know, not to mention he runs his own wrestling promotion on top of. So maybe it's the best move for him right now to do indies. Regardless, they took on. He teamed up with Rich Swann to take on the Rascals for the Impact Tag Team titles. Unfortunately, it was a losing effort for Sammy Callahan and Rich Swann. The Rascals did retain. Then we had a five-way match to determine who becomes the number 20 and number 1 in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet at Bound for Glory. Um, it was between Dirty Dango, Jake Something, Eric Young, Jordan Grace, and Champagne Singh. Um, this was a shocker to everybody. Um, not only did Dirty Dango win, but it's who he had help from to win. Um, you may remember him as Vladimir Kozlov. Oleg Prudius was who helped Dirty Dango get the win and the number 20 spot. And with that, Jake Something, who took the pin, will be number 1 in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. Um, so, again, like I said, I will be talking about Bound for Glory. I will be talking about well, I don't know necessarily that I'll be giving, like, too much attention to it. I mean, I will acknowledge it, but that's about as far as I'm going to go with the Hall of Fame for Impact. Um, and it's no disrespect to the inductees. Don West, Mike Tenay, Tracy Brooks, they all deserve it. But, you know, don't want to bring too much light to it because it's literally just going to be a segment like talking about, oh, you know, I'm happy that I'm thankful to Scott D'Amore. I'm thankful to Impact Wrestling for giving me the opportunity. Like typical like Hall of Fame stuff. Same thing would be with WWE, but yeah, that's about that. Next, I'm gonna get to Tasha Steelz and Courtney Rush. Not much to talk about with that. Deanna Purrazzo was on the side of Tasha Steelz, and then Jessica was on the side of Courtney Rush. But Tasha beat Courtney Rush. And then in the main event, yeah, so 4 matches. This match took up the most time for that taping of Impact Wrestling. It was a 2 out of 3 falls killer Impact match, which, to put it in layman terms, is 3 stages of hell, which is interesting too because at least in my like you know we haven't really seen a 3 stages of hell style match in any promotion in like quite a while. And I think the last time it was really done was like NXT Takeover between Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole, where The first fall was a standard singles match. The second fall, I think, was a street fight, and then the third fall was contested inside of a steel cage with weapons. So it was a nice touch. And so yeah, the first fall was to be decided by pinfall. The second fall was to be decided by submission. And then the final fall, if necessary, was going to be contested under last man standing rules.
Mm.
So the first fall was decided, but the first fall was awarded to Eddie Edwards. The second fall was awarded to Frankie Kazarian, and then the final, and then it because it went to the final fall, last man standing rules. It got pretty brutal, and the finish was especially like so. Frankie Kazarian calls it the Fade to Black, which is, you know, it's just another way, another name for the Dead Eye, as Hangman Adam Page called it. So, but yeah, Frankie Kazarian got the win over Eddie Edwards in that 2 out of 3 falls Killer Impact match. So that's all I have for Impact.
Yes, we get into AEW talk as we had a buy-in match before the actual main event or main show itself. That was first 30 minutes of...
Yeah, it was basically Tony Khan's way of saying, like, hey, WWE, you want to counter-program us? Well, let's see you try and, like, have a show 30 minutes or a match or a segment or something 30 minutes before Showtime on USA. That's what we have. We're going to have Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, and this got brutal. It was a slap fest. It was a brutal contest between both men. Minoru Suzuki is insane.
Yeah, I was surprised that Minoru Suzuki was just like walking into the chops as like Eddie Kingston was throwing him.
Yeah,
he's just like walking into them and just like looking at him like, "Is that all you got?" Like, come on!
Like over 50-year-old man that is just taking chops like that.
There's a reason he's called Murder Grandpa.
I was gonna say he's a murder grandpa for a reason, and he showcased it in there. But man, was his chest a beet red.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know, Impact fans, if you were watching that match between Eddie Edwards and Kazarian, you could see how bad it can get for somebody's chest when it gets brutalized.
Yeah,
because his chest was
Frankie
legit
Kazarian's
bleeding.
Chest was legitimate. Like, it was the crease in his chest, like, was literally like just split open.
It never got to that point between Eddie Kingston and Minoru Suzuki, but it damn well could have.
if Eddie Kingston had kept chopping Minoru Suzuki, his chest would have...
It literally took everything that Eddie Kingston threw Minoru Suzuki's way just to be able to get any sort of advantage over Minoru Suzuki, because Minoru Suzuki was just eating up the chops, eating up the attacks, eating up everything that Eddie Kingston was throwing at him. But eventually, Eddie Kingston was able to get the job done and retain the ROH World and NJPW Strong Openweight Championships.
I tell you what, man, Eddie Kingston is certainly coming into his own.
I will agree.
As a Ring of Honor World Champion and New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. Now,
it's about time this man becomes a world champion.
I agree.
I'm hoping that eventually it's going to lead into him doing that in AEW itself. Then
that would be nice. But also, I was just about to say, it's like, yeah, I know he's held the New Japan Strong Openweight title slightly longer than he's held the Ring of Honor World title, but like still, it's really forthcoming of Eddie Kingston proving that like he is a worthy champion. So and especially a worthy world champion.
Right, exactly. And Eddie Kingston definitely deserves all that's going his way. It's going to be interesting to see who is his next opponent for both of those titles. As it's kind of weird that both are getting defended at the same time, but hey, why not?
I mean, it gives you fresh competition. It gives you a new championship to challenge for
Right.
also.
True.
So I mean, like, you know,
So we get into our first match of the night after Christian Cage states that, yeah, the first 30 minutes are commercial free. Well, our first match is Bryan Danielson facing off against Swerve Strickland. Whoever
yeah,
wins gets to face off against Christian Cage on Collision. And Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland, that first match of the night did not disappoint. These two men legit were going at each other. Both men are from Washington. Um, Bryan Danielson, it is interesting to see that he is still wearing those Seattle Seahawk um, colored trunks because Swerve Strickland was wearing, if you noticed at Wrestle Dream, he was wearing Seattle themed gear, but it hasn't really been as often. But man, Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland, these two men brutalized each other. But unfortunately, Swerve Strickland, your time there of your little run has come to an end as Bryan Danielson does beat Swerve Strickland from the help of Hangman Adam Page, by the way. And yeah, got the Prince Nana going down.
yeah.
It was weird to see him without his crown.
Oh, his yeah,
Um,
all of his. Because you would have
Hangman Adam
thought that
Page
just
actually
like
used that to help out Bryan Danielson there, and Bryan Danielson got the victory off of the roll up from
yeah,
the help of Hangman Adam Page. It's safe to say that Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland's rivalry is not done. It could lead into Full Gear. I hope it ends at Full Gear. No lie. I mean, I don't
I'm
mind.
hoping.
See, the
So.
thing with AEW, I don't mind continuing storylines. I really don't. But don't let them drag on.
I agree.
That's the only thing I hope for. Um, I really also before we get on to our next thing, I just want to know how long is it before John Moxley and Young Bucks come back from their little injuries? Because
Wait,
uh,
Young Bucks are injured?
the Young Bucks, I think, are out right now, but they have to be coming back eventually because again, they're the number one contenders for the tag team titles. I would think that before FTR gets a chance at those tag team titles, which we will talk about later, um, it would have to be the Young Bucks, right? I mean, I would hope so.
Well, yeah, because they won that little thing to
Right.
challenge.
So we're gonna get on to
Unless
this.
it becomes a three-way. I
It
didn't even
could.
think about that.
It could.
But yeah, let's.
We're gonna get on to our next match. There's not really a whole lot to talk about this one. Powerhouse Hobbs faces off Chris Jericho and beats him. And of course, after the match, Powerhouse Hobbs beats down Chris Jericho and leaves him lying in the ring. Further, further growing that storyline of the Don Callis family and Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. It's very interesting to see what's going to exactly happen because I would think that it's going to lead into something at Full Gear. I get it, you already had Anarchy in the Arena. You already had, technically, I guess, Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with this. I would like to see a match kind of like that heading into Full Gear because it would make sense with all the people that are involved. But again, we shall find out. Orange Cassidy and Ray Phoenix face off against each other. It was originally supposed to be John Moxley, but John Moxley was not cleared to compete in this match. I think he's still under concussion protocol. So again, he was not medically cleared for this match. So Orange Cassidy took his place, and to big surprise, Orange Cassidy came out with a backpack. So I kind of already figured maybe something seems a little up that maybe they're going to give the title back to Orange Cassidy. And by the way, yes, that is exactly what happens. Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy actually beats Ray Phoenix to win back the International Championship, the title that he lost to John Moxley, by the way.
Yeah.
And Ray Phoenix, I think, actually beat John Moxley because he was hurt.
Yeah, because he was hurt.
So,
but now it seems
like it's kind of a weird revolving cycle.
Weird revolving.
They kind of do have a point that anybody that holds onto the title, it's kind of cursed because they end up going on a shelf and getting hurt. So I guess in a way they kind of have a point of the title kind of seems cursed. I mean, because right now Um, you have Pac that's out.
Yep.
Rey Fenix that got hurt. Orange Cassidy was hurting for a while there. John Moxley is hurt.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, I'm grateful that Orange Cassidy, the workhorse, the one that's been changing his career around, being the workhorse, has been able to turn around here and got the title back. The workhorse title has come back to the workhorse wrestler in Orange Cassidy. There's not much to talk about this one. Wardlow beats Matt Sydal. That's all we got to say about that one. Yeah, so we get on to our next match. Jay White faces off against Hangman Adam Page. Jay White, man, that man is, waving the momentum train as he beats Hangman Adam Page. He beat Hangman Adam Page with the help of Prince Nana, by the way, which again is really furthering that storyline itself. And then out comes MGF and wants Jay White to look at him. Wants the main event match at Full Gear and says, "You got it." MJF wants Jay White to give him back his title. Is going to give it back, but now he won't. And MJF says Jay is the way he used to be and will use people and abuse people to get what he wants. And MJF says deep down that Jay White could give less of a shit about the ones he has around him at Bullet Club Gold, which, who knows? Could be true, could be not. Says he is using them to get where he wants to be, and says that's right out of the MJF playbook, which we've seen it many times with MJF in the past. And MJF tries to wake up and be the better man and says for the first time he has earned the fans' respect and as they cheer. Now, there are two things that MJF cares about. His brother Adam Cole, who is out injured right now and needs 2 surgeries, and that's his cross to bear. Because we all know why he got hurt in the first place. Let's be honest. And then there's that title Jay White is holding, and that's MJF's livelihood. That's his legacy, because when you win the AEW World title, that makes you the best wrestler in the world. MJF says if it wasn't for the other members of the Bang Bang Gang, he would have already broke Jay White's legs and neck to get his title back, and says he knows how talented Jay White is and knows he can join the exclusive club of being the AEW World Champion. And says that day isn't today, and MJF wants Jay White to show some respect to the sport and these fans and give him back to Triple B, the title he has not yet earned. Jay White won't just give him back the title and says he has to do what he just said and earn the shot to get it back. And that will be November 18th. So he just has to be patient. But if MJF can't be patient, he could just come down and take it, and there will be a Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal, and Juice Robinson will be in it, and claims that they will take everything MJF cares about away from him. And MJF says if Juice Robinson comes at him with the roll of quarters, he will end his life. Thoughts? You know what would be interesting to note? When will the ones that attacked Jay White finally show up? That's what I want to know right there.
I have no idea. We still don't know. They never addressed it.
Because what if it was secretly Daddy Ass in the Acclaimed? Because of everything that's been going on with that. But this whole storyline with MJF and Jay White, it's getting interesting. And that Battle Royal will certainly be interesting. We'll talk more about it. But Jay White and Juice Robinson, I mean, it could be possible that they face off against each other. It's very possible that Juice Robinson wins the entire tournament and faces off against MJF for the Dynamite Dozen ring. And what if he wins it? It could be possible. Because honestly, I don't know if I really truthfully want to see MJF win it 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I don't think he, with all due respect to MJF.
I don't think he needs it at this point.
No, he doesn't. Give it to somebody else more deserving. Because not for nothing, not to mention, I thought the whole premise initially when they first unveiled it, like 5 years ago, was, oh, this is going to be something to help propel somebody towards an AEW World Championship. And then it's like, well, now that MJF has the AEW World Championship, excuse me, he doesn't really need the Dynamite
Right.
Diamond Ring.
True. Again, I really do think that, like we talked about it before the podcast, I really do think that Jay White and the Main Man game will literally take everything away from MJF. To further speculate of everything heading into 2024, like, oh, he's got no championships.
Yeah.
I think eventually he's going to end up having none. And then it's going to further speculate, like, could he go to WWE? Is he staying in AEW? He's got no championships. It's 2024. So, again, we all know what actually happened. He's staying in AEW. But speculation is definitely going to grow when it heads into that year.
Yeah.
Hikaru Shida faces off against Saraya for the AEW Women's World Championship. And honestly, surprisingly, beats Saraya to win back the AEW Women's World Championship. I don't know how I feel about that, only because you just gave Saraya that championship just to have her moment in front of her hometown crowd.
Well, I mean,
which is fine. It's all right. It makes sense. But again, I will say it's cool
I feel
that
like
her
it was a missed opportunity between Saraya and Toni Storm for the women's title.
Yeah.
That's just me.
It probably was, but again, congratulations to Hikaru Shida for being a 3-time women's world champion. Hopefully she gets...
And probably not only, but at least for now only, 3-time women's world champion.
Toni Storm, isn't she a 3-time women's world champion too? I think so. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she's a 3-time as well. But again, we'll have to find out and let you guys know. But we're going to get into our main event of Dynamite as Adam Copeland faces off against Luchasaurus.
That was really all that happened in, like...
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, wow.
There wasn't a whole lot that happened. I hate to say it. Adam Copeland faces off against Luchasaurus, and man...
2-time.
Okay, so she is 2-time. All right. Again, Adam Copeland, the one moment of this match that we can really talk about was when he speared Luchasaurus off the stairs.
Yeah.
Off the steps. That was a pretty cool moment. But again, he just looked out of it in that match. No offense to Adam Copeland, but I would like to see him really having a great final run in AEW, but that man... I just don't think he has it anymore. I hate to say it. I just don't think he has it anymore. I mean, I could be wrong. I would like to see him, but again,
I will say this:
he definitely doesn't have
his career on his own terms.
Yes, I agree.
But at least in terms of putting in the work in the ring, yeah.
Like I said, I just don't know if he has it anymore, and I hate to say that about Adam Copeland because I really do think that he's going to get a resurgence in AEW and WWE. But it was a good first match against Luchasaurus. Great, great to see that he won it.
Yeah.
And then with using the TNT Championship beats Luchasaurus, and then Nick Wayne beats down Adam Copeland after the match, and then so does Luchasaurus. And now comes Bryan Danielson to help out. Then BCC helps even the odds. So it's interesting to see what's going on with that, because it goes into actually the next bit of news with everything itself. It got a little testy on Collision, which, by the way, the little moment between him and Ricky Starks was actually unscripted, by the way. Was not scripted at all.
Yeah,
so Adam Copeland starts off Collision, says it's cold out there, but let's get it hot in here. Christian Cage says a lot of lies, but believes them, and afterwards, out comes Christian Cage with Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne and security, and Christian Cage wants the fans to shut their mouths while he conducts business, and the fans chant, "You suck." Says Adam Copeland has a lot of nerve, and he proves his point and feels special taking his time up while he's in the main event. It says the security is for his protection, not his. And it will cut to the point, and Christian Cage wants him to leave the ring and hit the bricks, and says if Adam Copeland stays in AEW, that he will be like the people in Toledo, known for nothing. And Christian Cage says he's the best wrestler in the world, and out comes Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson has something to say about that. It says that Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus are banned from ringside, and then out comes Ricky Starks and Big Bill looking at a bunch of guys that should have said no, and seeing a bunch of guys taking their time and will be damned to let it go any longer, and has no respect but for Christian Cage. It says he hasn't forgotten the BCC, and Adam Copeland says he took his style from The Rock and can't help he looks like a vanilla midget version of him.
Yeah, and that line kind of made... Well, it started with Ricky Starks by saying, like, and don't you look at me like that with those bug eyes of yours, and Adam Copeland, like, it's the slacks, dumbass. And he's like, well, you took your fashion style from the other place, and he's like, and you took it from The Rock. I can't help that you're a vanilla midget version of him, but go ahead.
Okay, and then out comes FTR say they could have had the night off in that World Tag Team title match, but they decided that they're gonna work their way. They're going to be able to compete regardless of, being banged up, and probably wasn't exactly the greatest idea because they lost their tag team titles to Big Bill and Ricky Starks. And once they don't want to get an automatic rematch. They want to be able to work their way up and earn their rematch, and got to know they are coming after those titles next. And looks like the TNT match will happen right now, but then throw the security guards at them all.
Yeah, so, by the way, that one security guard
was fighting back
against Danielson.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
I mean, get your moment with Bryan Danielson, but, like, yeah, that's not supposed to be... Like, when you're an on-screen, like, extra or, like, something like that, it's like you're not supposed to...
Right.
You're not supposed to go into your business for yourself, brother.
Exactly. I will say I'm smelling some sort of like tag team match of some sort heading forward, furthering some of these storylines and whatnot. So I'm liking everything that's happening. So we'll see what happens itself, but there's got to be something coming up with all of them heading on Collision going forward. Speaking of going forward, we have our first match of the night. Samoa Joe faces off against Willie Mack for the ROH World Television Championship.
Great match, by the way.
Yeah, it was actually a really good back and forth match. I mean, you thought maybe there was some time that Willie Mack could have gotten after Samoa Joe and been able to beat him for the ROH World Championship, but Samoa Joe, muscle buster and all.
Yeah.
Willie Mack, man, I tell you what, if he got some more,
you need to give that man more opportunity,
more TV time, because
more TV time and more opportunity.
I mean, he might be a big man, but he moves around like a cruiserweight, and
he has the power. I was telling Jason when watching the match initially, he has the power and strength of a big man, but the speed and agility of a cruiserweight.
Even if you don't want to use him at AEW, I think ROH would be a good place for him to be able to shine.
He's a very great hybrid wrestler.
Right.
And there's not a lot of hybrid wrestlers out there. But Willie Mack is a great one.
Right, exactly. So CJ Perry is here to help guide people, and Action Andretti is the first one to possibly call. Well, we thought
we will get into that. I won't spoil it for now.
So Juice Robinson faces off against Christopher Daniels and beats him, and then Jay White gives Juice a ring and then beats down Daniels with it. but takes it off and then plans on winning the tournament and then beating MJF for his ring. And Jay White says MJF's world is falling apart and starts with Juice Robinson winning the ring. And then Jay White will officially become the new champion. Thoughts?
Well,
that I can see
so
happening.
Back to Jay White saying MJF world is falling apart. I mean,
I guess in some way
folks, where's the lie?
It kind of is. It kind of is. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't have Adam Cole to help protect him. He has nobody to really like help him out. He has no friends really behind him.
Yeah.
Unless somehow the Acclaim and Daddy Ass do come in line, which I
Not
think
happening.
might. But again,
they're too busy focusing on the trio division.
Yeah, that's
they
true.
They wouldn't have to.
That's true.
They
but again, MJF's world is falling apart, and I'm liking it. I'm liking this storyline because the Bang Bang Gang is going to literally take his ring away from him, his belt away from him, and he's going to have nobody to help him out.
Yep, I got
and then when
on for a reason.
And then when Adam Cole comes back, he's going to be like, "Hey Max, how's everything going? How's everything going?
Where have you been for the past few months?
You've been nowhere to be found. I can't do this.
I couldn't even reach out to you for a phone call because you were hanging out with your buddy, quote unquote, because you were hanging out with your buddy, Roderick Strong. I thought we were friends, man."
So I can see a lot of that happening. I also can see the Kingdom.
I have to say, guns up.
Exactly. It's the Switchblade era, and we're just living in it.
Yes.
Honestly, I am liking the way that Tony Khan has been booking Jay White ever since he's come into AEW. I love the way that
the AEW, just in general, has been booking Bullet Club Gold.
I know. I love it. They are the top faction right now. They really are.
Yeah, they are hot. They are a hot commodity.
Like Jay White.
It's interesting too. Yes.
I'm sorry. I get it that he's holding on to MJ's title, but I hate to say it.
But it furthers the storyline. It's great.
I will say that.
So, the interesting thing about it too is initially going into it, I was like, "Oh, the Guns are a horrible addition to Bullet Club Gold." Why would Jay White? No,
they've been propelled ever since going to Bullet Club Gold.
That was
Are you kidding me?
Smart decision by Jay. Jay White saw the potential in them before any of us could. Not for nothing, because we look back at when the Guns initially won the AEW tag team titles, and we're like, really, the Guns? Why? And then it's now looking back at it, it's I can see why.
Right.
I can absolutely see why.
Right. I will say that yes, MJF's world is falling apart, and it's just gonna play one step at a time. It's gonna happen with Juice Robinson winning the tournament, then losing his ring, then going into Full Gear and losing the World Championship. Then when Adam Cole does come back after his 2 ankle surgeries, we'll defend those tag team titles with him. Because I would assume that eventually, Tony Khan's having a leeway with MGF and the ROH World Tag Team titles, but eventually you would have to put him on the line.
So I got a question then. Do you think that since we had a customized Triple B belt for MJF, do we think we get a Triple B customized belt for Jay White if he wins it? For the Bang Bang belt.
Could it be gold? It's already a gold belt.
But with a gold plate? Are you saying? Or a gold strap? Is that what you're saying? I don't know. Okay, obviously we can't have a
black strap with a gold plate. That could be possible, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know.
What? Revert it back to the old design?
Possibly. Why not?
Don't tell CM Punk that they'd be bringing back the Real World Championship.
That's great. We're going to keep on moving forward here. Dustin Rhodes will actually be part of the tournament for MJF's ring. Could he be a heavy favorite?
I'm fine with
I think it's going to come down... Personally, I do think that he might be a heavy favorite. I think it's going to come down to Dustin Rhodes and Juice Robinson. Yeah.
It could
I think that's going to be your
have
final
Dustin Rhodes
two.
be a finalist.
Yeah, I think Dustin Rhodes is going to be a
Well,
finalist. You're going to have those
you know
two
what's
facing off
interesting
against
too.
each other.
You know what's interesting too. I just remembered now. When the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal first started, it literally was decided by the last two participants of the match, and then they would have a one-on-one to determine the first ever winner, and it ended up being MJF. His opponent, on the other hand, who he faced, I don't remember. I think it was Hangman. Now that I think about, I think it was Hangman, but I don't remember. All I know is it was down to the final two participants. Like whoever two were the final participants, they ended up having a match the very next week to determine who became. And I remember that um, Diamond Dallas Page, quite fittingly, was the one to present the Dynamite Diamond ring, and then it led to that whole like promo exchange and everything with MJF and DDP. It's like, man.
Yeah, honestly, I really
So
do think
good.
that,
AEW's history is just so good.
I really do think that you're going to see Juice Robinson
Yeah, it
and
makes the
Dustin
most
Rhodes
sense.
being
It
the
furthers
the
the storyline.
final two, and then you're going to see Juice Robinson throwing him over, possibly with the help of the
Yeah.
Bang Bang Gang. Who knows?
So that kind of leads me to ask the question of like, what do we think happened with the tag team titles also? Because you'd have to think that without Adam Cole there,
He would
like,
have to be forced to put him on the line.
well, yeah, he would have to be forced to put him on the line, but at the same time, it's like,
Hmm.
do we think that he could possibly forfeit the titles because of Adam Cole's injury and because of Max fulfilling his obligations as AEW World Champion?
It could be possible.
I mean, I'm just trying to like fit it into
Right.
possibly, so because I
Yeah.
don't think, I mean, he could still defend it. Don't get me wrong. He could very well
No.
still
See,
defend
what
it,
I would like
but
better. No, what I would like better is him holding on to them for right now. Adam Cole
well,
coming
yeah,
back, them defending him against the Kingdom, losing, and then Adam Cole turns on MJF to
to
align
really,
himself
yeah,
with the Kingdom. That just makes the most sense to happen. That's just me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but who knows?
Um, we're gonna get on to our next match. Not really much to talk about it. Kyle Fletcher beats Boulder.
Yeah,
Um, 2.0 looks to be the next opponents for the Acclaim and Daddy Ass Dots. Well, they are. It's going to happen
yeah.
on Battle of the Belts 8, which I don't know why we need that many
Well,
freaking
so
Battles of
yeah,
the Belts, to be truthfully
it's
honest
going
with
to
you.
be 2.0 and Daniel Garcia
Well, I
taking
kind of
on.
just call them all 2.0 because they were pretty much all
Mm, yeah, but that was 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, anyways.
right.
When
Well,
they were
so it's basically Matt Menard,
Matt Menard,
Angelo Parker, and
Daddy
Daniel
Magic,
Garcia.
and Cool Hand Ange, and then of course you got dancing,
Dancing Garcia.
dancing Daniel.
Face off against the Acclaim and Daddy Ass Dots. As much as I would like to see them possibly go after them, I don't think it's not going to happen. It's more competition in the trios division, which I do like. It just they're not
Yeah,
going to be able to beat Acclaim and Daddy Ass.
nah.
Now, since we have a little bit of time, who do we see that could potentially beat the Acclaim and Daddy Ass for those World Trios tag team titles?
Well,
I would like to
I mean,
see.
they did
I would
beat.
like to see United Empire eventually go after them.
Well, once Osprey gets officially signed
Right.
to AEW, which I'm
Um,
sure will
but
happen. But
beforehand, I would think probably the BCC. I would like to at least have Bryan Danielson hold at least one last championship before he calls it.
it should be the world title, though.
I know, but
But
then again, it could be Claudio, John Moxley, and Wheeler. It could also be them.
yeah, that makes the most sense. That makes
So
the most sense because not for nothing,
I
like
think BCC
yeah,
would be the great trio to go after those
yeah,
World Trios tag team
and
titles. To be honest
not to
with you,
mention too, um, I just realized too that Moxley is he actually? No, he's not. Moxley is not a Triple Crown.
yeah, that would officially make him a Triple Crown
Yes, if
champion.
he was to win the,
Or if it's not the World Trios tag team titles, I would like to see the BCC hold on to the tag team titles. That'd be cool.
but who should it be, and who would it be? I feel like the more likely
Is the World
scenario,
Trios,
well,
yeah,
the more likely scenario if they were to win the tag team would be Claudio and Wheeler.
yeah, yeah.
Because I don't see Moxley ever really being a tag team guy much again.
Except for the World Trios.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
except for trios, but like tag team, I don't see him being,
right.
because yeah, he's part of a faction, but he's mainly ever like a singles guy, unless BCC is in like trios, you know.
Right.
So
So we got on to our next match, the TBS Championship match. Chris Statlander faces off against Sky Blue. Chris
yeah,
Statlander does beat Sky Blue, but we're starting to see a different
yeah,
kind of
she's a
more
lot
aggressive
more.
side
She's a
on
lot more
Sky Blue.
spicy. She has a different demeanor. Her makeup is a lot, or I should say, her eyeshadow and her eye makeup and everything is eyeliner, eyeshadow, a lot darker. So she is
Yeah.
definitely, and she has dark lipstick too. So she is definitely embracing a more vicious demeanor ever since being misted in the face by Julia Hart, who, by the way, is still like in her on her honeymoon with Lee Johnson. So I'm pretty sure they should be back within like the next week or two,
Right.
maybe. So I
I
don't
know.
know
I
how
kind of want to
long their
see. I
honeymoon is
wouldn't mind
gonna
seeing the
happen,
House
but
of
yeah.
Black eventually back in it. I know, what's his name is hurt, and you really haven't seen too much of Aleister Black and
Oh, Malachi.
Malachi. Yeah, Malachi Black and
Malachi, Brody King, Buddy Matthews, yeah.
right. So
Well, it's proclaimed that it's a claim. It's you know, a quote unquote claim that Malachi is injured, like he hurt his back or whatever. But Malachi was like, "No, my back's fine. They just won't book me." So
yeah, I would like to see them eventually back too.
but
Uh,
I think the reason why he himself, Malachi himself, is not being booked is because some of the other members of the house are injured, like
yeah,
Brody King and maybe Buddy Matthews,
right,
but I don't
exactly.
think Buddy's. It's more so Brody King.
I
Like
was gonna say
once
once
his
he's,
hand heals up, then
you should be
yeah,
seeing them all back. Uh, Kyle Fletcher calls out Kenny Omega for later tonight. Thoughts? I think this is gonna
that
be a
man is
lot.
issuing a death
Yeah,
wish
I was
though.
gonna say this match. I think is gonna be really good for later tonight. Honestly, Kenny Omega. It just I hope you know what you're getting yourself into there, Kyle, because there's no way you're beating Kenny Omega one on
No,
one. Uh,
well, not to mention, doesn't Kyle know that anytime he challenges Kenny, it's not going to end well?
yeah, exactly. Roosh.
That's a South Park reference, by the way, too.
Oh.
Tongue in cheek, South Park reference.
um, Roosh is back. Thoughts
Yeah,
on that one?
LFI
LFI. It
are
looks maybe they could
yeah
also be a wait. Maybe they
could
could
be
also go
yeah
after those World Trios tag team titles.
Dralistico, Roosh, and Preston Vance.
You never know.
Yeah,
I mean, they've had their share of
but with that
opportunities.
being said about Dralistico, there's a match coming up on Rampage Mystico
Yes, the original.
versus Rocky Romero. But going back to Mystico, notice how similar his mask looks to Drilistico?
Yeah. I was
Well,
gonna say, aren't they all
interestingly enough,
brothers
too,
anyway?
well, Drilistico is. Mystico, on the other hand, is not.
Okay.
Well, actually, there was a like family tree thing that I think Jose the assistant tweeted, but it's complicated. It's very confusing, and I don't want to get
I
into
was
it
gonna
right
say
now.
it's
But
it's nice to
yeah,
see him back because we haven't seen him in like God knows how long. So
yeah.
it's nice to see that he's back and will be.
So here's so back to the whole like Action Andretti thing. Yeah, not if Miro has anything to say about it.
Before we get there, yeah, Keith Lee beats Turbo Floyd, so we'll get into
Oh,
the
okay,
Miro
yeah.
thing. Miro will attack everyone to protect his wife's thoughts. Yeah,
That
because
man
you want
has
to know.
PTSD from WWE.
Yeah, you want to know why? Because they're gonna end up together, and then CJ Perry
Mm-hmm.
is gonna manage Miro yet
Mm-hmm.
again. It's just whole big storyline factor. They're gonna be together. He wants to be managed by his beautiful and
His
flexible.
flex, yeah, his hot flexible wife. I
Yes.
think that's what
So
I know. Flexible's in there, but yeah.
exactly. Now we get
So
on to the
the main
main
event,
event, the one that got the most time. No time limit,
no
by the
time
way.
limit, but it did take 30 minutes. So
Yes,
it was
Christian.
kind of like that old school, or not really old school, but it's kind of like the WWE thing. It's like the producer, or in this case, it would be Tony Khan, would before they go out, he would be in Gorilla, and he would tell the guys, "Okay, hey, you got 30 minutes. Go out there and have a great match."
Yeah, so Christian
So
Cage and Brian Danielson, man, it was a pretty good match. I mean, Brian Danielson got heavily involved. Christian
yeah,
Cage was really trying to attack that right arm
oh
as
yeah.
much as possible in the match.
So and maybe it's just me, but I think that like Danielson is really selling the hell out of his arm.
Yes, he is. Danielson was
And
trying to go for.
now, granted, yes, I know that realistically, a broken arm probably doesn't take that long to, excuse me, come back from. But at the same time, it's like he had a steel rod put in his arm, so it's like he could,
Right.
but at the same time, it's like he might still just not be 100% like at all. But at the same time, I'm looking at it as if like, well, if that was the case, AEW Medical just wouldn't even
Yeah.
clear him.
Yeah. Brian
So it's like
Danielson used a.
he has to pass a lot of tests
Right.
to be able to even go out there with his arm being the way that it is.
True. Brian Danielson did hit the diving headbutt in this match.
Yeah,
He hit,
I wasn't a big fan of that. It's like
but
Danielson,
Danielson looked like he
if
was
you're having
gonna
a match like
use
that.
Christian Cage's spear, but Christian Cage was actually
Oh,
the
yeah.
one that speared him
Yeah.
in the match. Speared him pretty damn
That
good.
kind of got a, I don't know if I would say it got a pop from you, but you were like, oh, well, that's the opposite of what I expected.
No, because I really thought that Brian Danielson was
Yeah,
actually
because
going for the running knee instead, but he got very
he
low.
got the, yeah. So he was doing the whole, like, come on. And, like, he went for it, and then it's like, oh, the person that you didn't expect to hit the spear hit the spear.
Yeah,
So,
but again, Christian Cage beats Brian Danielson to retain the TNT Championship with the
with the
help
help of
of
Ricky
Ricky
Starks.
Starks. Yes.
Oh, and the way that he sold going to the outside after hitting Danielson with the title was kind of
Just
funny.
laying him flat on his
He
back.
just kind of
I
he
don't know what you're
created that.
talking about,
Yeah,
ref.
he created that pain angel, as Rob Dyrdek called it on Ridiculousness. So
And then Brian Danielson gets beaten down, and then FTR comes out to even odds, and Adam Copeland comes out to beat down Luchasaurus. Could we be seeing a tag team match coming from all of
he
this?
also speared Nick Wayne.
Yes.
So Nick Wayne was in the middle of everybody, in the
Oh
middle
yeah,
of the ring.
speaking of that, I mean, we probably
He will
seen
have
the
a sit down
best.
interview.
We
Oh my
we
god,
seen
that.
probably the best spear out of Adam Copeland's
Oh,
career
okay, that's
against
not what you.
Luchasaurus. To be truthfully honest with you,
I think he hit a better one on Nick Wayne on Collision.
but again, I think we're gonna see a tag team match coming out of this. Truthfully,
Call up Teddy Long.
yeah, right. This is going to conclude this episode of No Final Blow. Please make sure to follow us on social media, Tinkle Sports. Also, YouTube channel over there is Tinkle Sports Entertainment. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow for more. Hit the bell notification
Tap that bell,
to
people.
get notified when our stuff comes out, please,
Don't miss an
because
upload.
YouTube will not notify you unless otherwise. I don't know why. Again, we have Out of Turn 4 every Tuesday at 5, but the season is coming down to us. Down to the end.
Coming to an
so
end soon.
Very soon it will be on hiatus. But we do have Sunday morning Tinkle every Sunday at 9 a.m. and also the show typically every Wednesday at 5 unless something else happens. But
yeah, so notice that this show will never go on hiatus because
there's always
quite
something
simply,
new every single
wrestling
week.
has no
off season. Yes, exactly. So we will catch you next video. Goodbye, everyone.